Hello, everyone, and welcome to this, our third info webinar on the EUI Global Executive Master, a degree that we have launched at the European University Institute, and we are planning to welcome the first cohort this coming September. It is a great pleasure that so many of you have actually registered for this event, more than 70 people. This is the third webinar that we do. My name is George Papaconstantinou. I am the EUI Dean of Executive Education, and together with Gaia Bettinelli, who is the administrative person responsible for the Global Executive Master, we are coming to you from Palazzo Buontalenti in downtown Florence, the seat of the Florence School of Transnational Governance, and we will be talking about the EUI Global Executive Masters for the next 30 minutes with you. As I've said, we have already had two previous webinars. In the first one, it was a broad presentation of the degree. In the second one, it was a presentation of the professional skills modules and workshop that are part of the degree. And today, we're going to be focusing on the 4 specialization tracks that the degree offers in the second year. And to do so, we have the pleasure of having with us 4 excellent colleagues that will be speaking for each of and presenting briefly each specialization track. However, before we do that, I will remind us all of briefly of the GEM program in its entirety. And the GEM, the EUI GEM, our Global Executive Master, is a degree in public policy for policy professionals, an executive degree. It has a unique transnational and global outlook. The way we look at things involves governance beyond the state. We tend to look at issues and with the actors that transcend the state. It is taught by world-class academics, faculty, and practitioners. I think a characteristic of this program is that it blends the academic expertise with the real-life knowledge of people who have been in the trenches of policy making. It is focusing on cutting-edge policy issues, as you will see in the discussion, from energy regulation, climate finance and transition, AI and digital governance, to economics, geopolitics, and security. And we are addressing mid-career policy professionals that want to combine full-time work with the experience of taking an innovative course, which is in a blended form, and where you will be spending about 4 weeks in a course of 2 years in Florence, and the rest of the courses would be delivered online. So it is exactly tailored for people who want to learn while they work, continue, upgrade their professional development while continuing to be in their normal occupation. So today we will, as I said, discuss the 4 specialization areas. Before I do that, let me remind us the building tracks, the building blocks of the degree. We have the core modules, which are required for all EUI GEM participants. We have the professional development modules. The previous webinar was focused on that. We discussed the modules such as negotiation, project management, change management, leadership, foresight, policy communication, media relations, and then the elective modules that we'll be focusing on today, and finally a capstone, which is related to the candidate's own professional area. To, again, remind you of the structure, here are the 4 core modules: applied political science, economics for policymakers, business and government, and big data analytics, the professional development modules, and then the 4 specialization electives: energy and climate, geopolitics and security, economy and finance, and tech and governance. And with this, I can pass on to my colleagues who will be introducing each of these. And the first one is Leo Meeus. Leo is director of the Florence School of Regulation, one of the oldest parts of the EUI, with a lot of experience in executive education. And he will be speaking about the specialization on energy and climate. Leo.
Thank you, George, for setting the scene. And it's a pleasure to be here with so many potential participants. So indeed, one of the options you have is this specialization on energy and climate. I'll say a few words on why and why these three courses, and also why us. And in doing that, I would like to reconnect also with the objectives of the overall executive master that George already introduced. So one objective, as George said, is that we want you to delve into cutting-edge policy issues. Now, I hope I don't have to convince you anymore that climate and energy are among these most pressing issues of our time. And also, we've seen a lot of policy development in this area. So there is really a lot of developments we can share with you. And so how did we structure that into these three courses? You see the name there. And basically, the second course you see there is to give you the big picture. What's going on? There is really going on so much that no single expert can really teach you. So what we will do is we'll bring in a broad range of faculty, as George said, some of them academics, some of them people from practice, and we'll, give you that that big picture. Green Deal in Europe, but also beyond Europe, you have a lot of developments like the IRA in the US and many other places in the world. Then, as you can see on the top, we have a course on markets. Why? Well, because markets are really at the center of the transition. So we do like you to understand a bit how they function, right? What are some of the issues with these markets and how do we handle them with regulatory frameworks? And then the third one is to go to the local level, because you can have global policies, national policies, but in the end, if you want to bring the change to citizens, a lot of the action happens at the city level, the local level. And that's where also you see policies like climate, energy, mobility, water, waste, all coming together. So we will bring in some experts that can really talk about these issues. Then why us? So on this, I also wanted to connect with other two objectives of the master. So one thing we promise you is that you will engage with high-level policymakers. As George said, energy and climate is one of these areas where we've been working for many years at EUI. We have a big team of people doing policy advice. We organize policy dialogues. We also do already a lot of capacity building for professionals. So we can bring that experience to you in this master. We also have among our faculty former regulators and policymakers. Just to give you one example, for energy and climate, we'll have Jos Del Beke, the father and grandfather of the EU emission trading scheme, as one of the teachers in this specialization. Then you also have people like me that are happy to share some of the technical knowledge, because that's another objective of this master, right? To boost your managerial analytical skills. In this specialization, that is also a bit of technical skills. So I'll be happy just to give you an example to talk about the Brexit trade agreement, the chapter on energy in that trade agreement. To what extent, can we work with that? To what extent do we might see some changes in this trade agreement? Just another final example to close is, how is it even possible that we had a Norwegian cruise ship leaving a German harbor and almost causing a blackout in the entire electricity system? How did that happen? And what did we do to prevent this? And this is it. These are my minutes. But of course, as George said, at the end, I'm also available for questions.
Thank you very much, Leo. This is really great stuff. Energy and climate is indeed at the forefront of the policy discussion at the moment. Leo's a reminder at the end, if you have questions that you want to ask any of our speakers, please write them into the chat, and Gaia will help me field the questions here to our four speakers or to myself. So now let's move on to geopolitics and security. For geopolitics and security, we have speaking Nathalie Tocci. Nathalie is the director of the Istituto Affari Internazionali in Rome. She's also an adjunct professor at the Florence STG and has a long career, including advising the current and the previous, let's say, foreign affairs ministers of the EU on security and geopolitical issues. Nathalie, the floor is for you.
Thank you, George, and it's wonderful to be here. So why geopolitics and security? Well, I mean, sadly, this doesn't require a long explanation given everything that is happening around us. But if I could put it in perhaps slightly more analytical terms, it is very clear that we no longer live in a world in which economics and politics and security can be compartmentalized. It is a world in which it's a world of contradictions. It's a world in which openness and closure coexist, a world in which our world is increasingly integrated and yet ever more divided and fragmented. And it's a world in which interdependence that used to be viewed as a source of peace, love, and happiness is now increasingly also considered a source of growing insecurity. So what is in the geopolitics and security strand? Firstly, we have navigating the global disorder. And here, basically, what we're going to be looking at is, the way in which very clearly our international system has moved away from one in which, the liberal international order revolving around largely Western or, US-led power. We now live in a world which is bipolar in many respects, US-China. It is multipolar, but it is also increasingly non-polar, right? In which you have a growing number of actors that basically hedge and operate in an increasingly transactional way, undermining or certainly reshaping what the global security architecture is all about. This then leads me on to the second strand in this elected module, which is transnational organizations and rulemaking, which obviously dovetails very much with what the work that is done at the Transnational School of Government specifically, right? And here, basically, we have, on the one hand, very clearly the main global challenges of our age are essentially transnational in nature. Just think about climate. And of course, Leo has also been talking about this. Think about tech, and we're going to be hearing more about this in a moment. Think about migration. So if we literally run across all of the major challenges of our age, they are transnational in nature, which then loops back to the question of which are the actors that are going to be dealing with this and that are dealing with this. And it is very clear that alongside state actors, you increasingly have transnational non-state actors or multilateral actors within the context of international organizations. And understanding the way in which state and non-state interlock, particularly when it comes to the governance of these transnational questions, is of the essence. Third and finally, trade, international trade and diplomacy. And again here, we no longer live in that international liberal order in which basically open trade was the name of the game. On the one hand, trade and trade diplomacy remains essential, but it really has to grapple with a world in which nationalism and protectionism are on the rise. Now, how does this all come together, and especially why is it, and what is it that you're going to be getting out of all this? Well, on the one hand, you're going to be understanding what the state of the art of the public debate and policy debate on these questions is. You're going to be developing the analytical tools that enable you not only to navigate and understand what is happening now, but what the trends may be in future. You're going to be interacting with both academic and policy practitioners that are actually grappling with these questions in their day-to-day work, and really giving you a sense of how is it that one can strategize and think about how to deal with the very complex and conflictual world that we live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nathalie. This is a fascinating track. It's hard to overstate its importance. Let's now move to the third track, economy and finance. And I will give the floor to Pierre Schlosser. Pierre is the Deputy Director of the Florence School of Banking and Finance, which is a very important part of the European University Institute, and very much plugged into the discussion on economics, banking, and finance within the European Union and beyond. Pierre, the floor for you.
Thank you, George, and good afternoon, everyone. As you said, my name is Pierre. I'm a French national, and before joining the European University Institute 10 years ago, I was also professionally active in Brussels. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here with you today and guide you a bit through the economy and finance specialization track. As you will have understood by now, we have designed EUI GEM generally as a unique and transformative learning journey. And in that sense, the economy and finance track is capitalizing on original and extensive research production that we've done in the field of political economy and finance over the past decade at the EUI. Having said that, I want you to rest assured. I mean, and I know that some consider economy and finance to be a dull topic. I'll try to demonstrate the opposite. And in this specialization track, what I want to say is that we will train you, we will push you, we'll sometimes also bring you outside your comfort zone, but the economy and finance track will not consist of a series of equation-based lectures and or econometric modeling sessions, right? So the track is above all an inclusive track, meaning that we'll ensure that nobody in the class is left behind, while at the same time guaranteeing that the track adds tremendous value to, let's say, the most advanced economic profiles of the cohorts. And we're used to doing this in executive education at the EUI with a long track record. Now, let me tell you a bit more about the modules within this track. So track consists of 3 elective modules, and in all the 3 modules, the time spent together will be divided into interactive lectures, discussions, case study analysis, and evaluations of real-world examples in small groups. So the 3 modules are the following. You can see them on the slide. Module 1, on current issues in international political economy. This is a readings-based module that will expose students to current theoretical and empirical issues in IPE and international political economy, but the module will also focus on the policy issues and dilemmas that are currently dominating international economic debates and policy making. Among those issues, let me mention the challenges of rising private and public debt risks, the policy response to increasing inequality, the debate on secular stagnation and its implications for fiscal and monetary policy, and of course, the future of globalization. Module 2 will be on digital finance from technology to regulation. And this module will offer a critical, but also here, non-technical introduction to the multifaceted world of digital finance, from the latest trends in crypto assets and currencies to cyber risk challenges. This module will provide participants with a comprehensive understanding of the evolving landscape of digital finance from a global perspective, and we'll be unpacking for you the crucial features of new financial technologies. Some of you will have heard the term fintech. Delving then into the latest financial innovations, including central bank digital currencies, participants will then gain insight into the future structure of the financial system and will develop a state-of-the-art grasp of incoming regulatory responses to these disruptive changes. Module 3 on sustainable finance and climate risk is a module which I'll have the honor to lead. This module will examine the interlinkages between climate change and financial risks and opportunities, and will here uncover the instrumental role that financial markets play in delivering on the sustainability agenda. And in that sense, the module will explore both EU and global initiatives to promote sustainable finance, focusing on the fundamental question and challenges faced by policymakers and professionals, some of which will then be contributing to this module as guests. As you may know, policymakers on the one hand have increasingly acknowledged the risks of climate change and of the net zero transition for financial stability. Market actors on the other hand have also acted as key players, channeling their funds towards green projects and companies, some of which have been working in the past with Leo's team, for example. So the purpose of this module is therefore really to look at these issues from both a public and a private perspective. That's it. So for any questions, don't hesitate.
Thanks very much, Pierre. I have a particular affinity for this track since I will also be doing part of it. Now let's move to the last, but by no means least, track of tech and governance. And to present it, we have Renata Pisarkiewicz. Anna is a research fellow at the Robert Schuman Center for Advanced Studies, which is a part of the UI, and more particularly within the Center for Digital Society, a dedicated part of the Institute that looks at these issues. Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Georgios. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to have an opportunity to provide you with an overview of the tech and governance specialization track, which we have called TEGO. I think it is hard to underestimate the importance of technology as it is embedded into our lives virtually in all the spheres. So in the first place, we appreciate its importance as merely citizens before we consider it as policymakers. So this comprehensive track is tailored for professionals who have to navigate the complex policy landscape in the times when technologies are changing very rapidly. As you can see, it consists of 3 distinct but highly interconnected modules that are crucial for understanding how technology and governance interact today. 2 of the modules are delivered fully online and 1 in a blended format. So the first track on the innovation on the innovation in the digital era, basically what we do there, we will provide you with a multidisciplinary approach combining technical, economic, legal, and policy insights. It will focus on understanding the competitive and regulatory environment, business models, and development of technologies which are essential for the digital age. You will have an opportunity to see how economics of scope and scope work in practice. You will have an opportunity to understand the geopolitics of innovation, explore how digital infrastructure like the emerging networks, for example, 5G, R&D, patents and standardization that enable connectivity and interoperability all together shape the new economy, and what is and what should be the role of the state in promoting innovation today. The second track will guide you through the platform economy. It's a very recent phenomenon which has seen a remarkable growth in recent years and which keeps redefining market dynamics. You will have an opportunity to grasp the intricacies of digital platforms, understand their ecosystems, business models from legal economic perspective, as well as regulatory challenges and policy reforms across the globe. This module will also offer multidisciplinary discipline as the entire EUI GEM, and it will equip you with insights that are necessary to navigate and shape the platform-dominated marketplace. Then, last but definitely not least, the track on artificial intelligence and governance will provide you with an opportunity to scrutinize AI as a pervasive general-purpose technology and its impact on the economy and society. It will also examine the way how to govern AI at the international and national levels, how to create a suitable policy mix, and to develop an agile governance framework. The module will cover in particular key AI use cases, AI risks, policy and legal frameworks on AI, international standardization issues, and more in general, the debate about the future of AI as such. Altogether, these modules will provide you with knowledge and skills necessary to lead in an era where governance converges with technological innovation. What I would like to add, and what my colleague might maybe not have not mentioned, is that the whole EUI GEM is not just an academic journey. It's a proactive engagement with the future of the evolution of all the 4 elective courses, which means that this whole program will allow you not only to keep pace with the ongoing changes, but actually to actively participate in shaping responses to those changes. And I believe there is so much to be shaped. Just consider in the TEGO area, how vigorous is the dialogue across the world and how many sweeping policy reforms are currently either taking places or being discussed. So I think that whatever is happening in this area, it clearly shows that the policy and regulatory framework is about to become much more complex in the years to come. And I hope that the EUI GEM in general and TEGO track in particular will provide you with an opportunity to acquire skills and knowledge that are necessary to make informed decisions in this highly complex, but at the same time equally fascinating field. Thank you very much, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Anna. This is an extremely fast-changing area, and it's changing fast, both because of technology changing fast, but also because of policy. And we'll take you on that twin journey of where technology and policy meet to address the challenges. So here we are. These are the 4 tracks. We're now going to take some questions, and there's already some that I can start addressing. One first question is, do I need to specialize in one of those tracks? So let's clarify a little bit how the specialization and the electives work. You need to take 5 electives from these 4 specialization areas. And you can either specialize in one particular area. If you do, 3 of the 5 electives need to be in that area, and the other 2 can be from other areas. Or you can decide to not specialize, at which point you're in a candy store, and you can pick courses from the different areas as you wish. So that's one question which comes to us a lot. A second question which is coming is, who teaches these courses? And then if you go back to our website, and if you go, you will see a number of people that are involved in each of these courses. No course is really taught throughout by only one person without at least some external guests who bring the expertise, who bring the latest policy developments in the discussion. Some courses are co-taught, and what we have given you here is an example by 4 people who are identified with the 4 specialization tracks of the depth and width of the material that will be taught by combination of academics and policy practitioners. Gaia.
Yes, thank you, George. You indeed already addressed one of the questions that were asked through the chat. There are 2 similar questions about the technical requirements that are needed for the tracks, especially for TEGO and ENIC. So I don't know if we would like to ask Leo and then perhaps Anna to give us an idea about the technical expertise required.
Indeed. Leo and then Anna, a quick response on the technical requirements for taking these courses.
Yeah, very good question. And I would fully align with what Pierre said. Pierre said, we want to be an inclusive track, right? So we want to challenge the people that are already having a strong background in economics and finance and bring them to the higher level. But we want to be inclusive and also be open to people that don't have that background, but would like really to take the opportunity to catch up. I would say exactly the same for energy and climate. We also have experience on how you deal in a course like that when you know you have these 2 groups. And yeah, so I would say if you're qualified to take this master, you're qualified to take our track.
Thanks very much, Leo. Anna, do you want to add something to this?
No, I think I can just fully agree with what Leo has just said. So basically, our intention is also to provide a program that is inclusive in a way that we can accommodate needs of people who have already worked in the field and those who are newcomers. So we take this into account when we structure our lectures, when we provide any additional activities. And that is based on our experience in the field, because we've been organizing trainings on the competition and regulation in telecoms, for example, for over 10 years. And this is exactly what we had, people with different levels of expertise.
Thanks very much, Anna. Gaia.
There's another question about the capstone. So does the capstone need to be in the same specialization area in order to specialize or not?
Yeah, thanks very much for this question. I'll take that one. So if you don't specialize, you can pick a capstone from whichever area that you like. If you do specialize, then the capstone is part of your specialization. So you need to pick a topic that fits within one particular policy question in the area in which you specialize. We see the specialization as a capstone. This is the way that the program is designed, as being together one and the same thing.
Thanks, George. There's another question maybe I can take, because it's about when the choices to be made regarding the specialization. So some of you might have already started the application, and in that case, you probably saw that there is a question about what is your preferred first and second choice. But at this stage, it is obviously not binding. So there will be time to reflect on your selection. And we define a moment during the first academic year in spring where you will have the opportunity to hear even more elaborated pitches from the professor teaching in the track, and base your selection also on what you hear on the from the faculty and from your research or professional interest in that moment. So we're not in a rush, so you can really take your time and see what is the best opportunity for you for your professional growth.
Thanks very much, Gaia. We have come to the end of our 30 minutes, so 2 last words from me. The first one is to remind you of some important dates. 31st of January is what we call the early bird deadline, where there is a discount on the fees if you apply and are self-funded by that time. And then our final deadline for applications is the 15th of May. We can already tell you that we're very happy with the level of applications that we're receiving. Over 70 people have completed applications. We will start assessing them in the coming, there's two rounds of assessment. with, of course, the final deadline being on the 15th of May. So you have time until then. If you do want to have the early bird discount, then you need to apply by the 31st of January. And finally, of course, you can always reach us at gem@eui.eu for any questions that we did not have time to answer, or to book a call with Gaia or with one of the other people involved in the masters, such as Jakov Bojovic, who is the scientific coordinator, and we will do our best to answer any practical, substantive, course-related or administrative questions that you have. With that, let me thank very much our four colleagues here who came to present the different specialization tracks. So thank you very much, Leo, Nathalie, Pierre, and Anna. And that's all from us for the time being. Hoping to see many of you in Florence this coming September.